Permission scheme. In this tutorial, you are going to get familiar with project permission scheme. As a part of this tutorial, you will get familiar with all the permissions that you have in JIRA and discover which permission does what. Let's have a look at project permissions in JIRA. Project permissions, they define who can access a project and what they can do with it. They are created within permission schemes, which are then assigned to a specific project. A permission scheme is just a set of user, group, or role assignments for the project permissions. And every project has a permission scheme, while one permission scheme, it could be shared within multiple projects. Each new project is being assigned to the default permission scheme, like we have it with our project. As you can see, it uses the default permission scheme. You can edit this scheme, or what you can do, you can change it to another pre-created permission scheme. If you want to change the permission scheme which your current project is using, you should go to the Actions and select Use a different scheme from the drop-down menu. It will lead you to the page where you can select the permission schemes that you want to use for your project. What you should know about project permissions is when you want to edit your scheme, you can assign permissions based on rather individual user. Like here, you can write the name of the users that you want to grant a permission. It can be also a group. For example, JIRA administrators only could get this permission, or JIRA software users. It can be a project role, like administrators or developers. It can be also some issue roles as reporter or project lead, current assignee. You can also give permissions based on some group custom field value, if you have one, or multi-user picker custom field. All this allows you to grant a permission. As you can see, our permissions are being separated among 6 different groups based on the ground of these permissions. So far we have project permissions, issue permissions, voters and watchers permissions, comments permissions, and attachments permissions, time tracking permissions, and that's it. Let's have a look at each permission in particular. The first one is Administer Projects permission. This is the permission that you want to grant only to the administrators of your project, because it gives the right to edit project's workflow under certain conditions, to edit project's role membership, project components, versions, and some project details, such as project name, URL. It allows also you to change the lead of the project or to change the project description. Another permission is Browse Projects permission. This is general permission that allows you to browse projects and to use the issue navigator, and it is also the permission that allows you to view individual issues, except all those issues which were restricted with issue level security. Please note that many other permissions, they are being dependent on this permission. For example, work on issues permissions, it's being effective only for those users who also have the browse project permission. Managed sprints permission is only available to JIRA software users, as well as Vue development tools. So we are not going to have a look at them here, because if you don't have JIRA software, JIRA Core, only JIRA Core, these permissions won't be present in the list of your permissions. View read-only workflow permission. This is a permission to view the project's read-only workflow when you are viewing an issue. So for example, if I open here my issue, which we had created before, this is a permission that provides this view workflow link against the status field of the issue view page. And if you click on it, it will open a screen with the workflow which current issue type is being assigned to. So this is a permission that allows you to use this workflow. Let's go back to our permissions. Went too far. We are good. Assign issues and assignable user. So assign issues permission is the permission that allows to assign issues to users. Like here, for example, this is a permission that allows me to put someone here in this field assignee and to assign it. Without this permission, I won't be able to assign this issue to this person. The assignable user permission, this is the other side of the coin. This is the permission to be assigned issues. So to be able to be assigned an issue, Jeff Strigel, he should has the permission called assignable user. Another permission is called close issues. This is the permission which allows to close issues based on the workflow conditions. So, like in my case, it's make issue done. This is a permission that allows to do it. This permission is useful where, for example, developers resolve issues and testers close them. And this permission, you should note, is dependent on two other permissions. And this is the permission to transition issues. This one. And it's also dependent on the other issue permission called resolve issues. Both permissions are necessary to be able to close issues. Another important permission is create issues permission. This is a permission that allows you to create issues in the project. It also includes the ability to create subtasks if subtasks are enabled. So without this permission, I couldn't select the project. If I didn't have a permission, create issue permission for packed project, I would not have this project in the list of these projects, and I couldn't create an issue. Delete issues. This is a very important permission, and you should think very carefully about which group or project role you assign this permission. Because usually you assign this permission only to administrators. Because deleting an issue, it will also delete all its comments and attachments. Even if the user does not have the delete comments or delete attachments permission, if you delete an issue, comments and attachments will be deleted with it. However, the delete issues permission does not include the ability to delete individual comments or attachments. Edit issues is the permission, so obviously, to edit issues. It includes the ability to convert issues to subtasks or vice versa, to make issues from subtasks. And this is a permission to be able to change the content of the issue. And note that the delete issue permission is required in ordered issues. So edit issue doesn't include the permission to delete it. It is usually given to groups or projects who have also the create issue permission. Perhaps the only exception to this if you give everyone the ability to create issues, and maybe in this case it would be appropriate to give everyone the ability to edit it too. Next permission is link issue permissions. So it allows you to link issues together. So here, for example, on an issue, I can select link issue, select some other issue, for example, pack 1, create link, and this issue will be appeared as linked with it. It will show that this issue blocks, for example, issue number 1. And to be able to do it, you need to have the link issues permissions. Modify reporter permission allows you obviously to modify reporters. Move issues is the permission to move issues from one project to another. from one workflow to another workflow within the same project. For example, if I want to move this issue to some other project, like here, called project, I will need this permission called move issues permission. And note that a user can only move issues to a project for which they have the create issues permissions, only to these projects. If you don't have these permissions, you won't be able to move it to this project. Resolve issues. This is a permission to resolve and reopen issues based on the workflow condition. It also includes the ability to set a fixed version, something specific for JIRA software. Well, this is not a software project, I cannot do it, but this you should know if you are using JIRA software. This resolve issue is also includes the ability to set the fixed version field for this issue. And this also requires other permission called transition issues permission. Schedule issues is permission to schedule an issue, that is to change the due date field. So only users who have these permissions, they could change the date of this issue. Set issue security, the permission to set the security level of an issue. Security level is something which allows you to control who can access an issue. For example, only members of some group or some people who have some project role. Transition issues is the permission to change the status of an issue. So like here, if I have this permission, I can reopen it, start progress. If you don't have the permission, you won't be able to do it, and these buttons won't appear on your issue screen. And that's it for the issue permissions. And we could go to the voters and watchers permissions. And voters and watchers permissions include manage watchers. So this is a permission to manage the watchers list of an issue. And view voters and watchers allows you to view who are voters and watchers of the issue. Comments permissions define all the functionality related to comments, so those who can add comment, delete all comments, open comments, edit all comments. I think it's clear and it should be explained more. Attachments permissions is also everything that is related to attachments, create, delete, so on. And time tracking permissions is permissions related to the time tracking operations, in particular work logs. It defines who can delete work logs, edit work logs, and who can work on issues. That's it for the permission schemes. Let's have a look at the other parts of the project configuration. In the next tutorial, we are going to have a closer look at the notification scheme.